Surely this isn't what all the fuss is about, right? Like people who like Taco Bell probably like something more exciting than this, right?
Hello everyone, welcome to Food is Numbers. I used to be a host, but then I took an arrow in the knee. Today, I ask you to join me. I ask you to join me on a journey of education, but also a journey of self-discovery. For you see, I have a shocking revelation for you. Prepare yourself. I have never eaten Taco Bell. I'll give you a moment to pick your jaws up off the floor, clean the brains off the ceiling where they exploded out of the back of your skull. There was no Taco Bell anywhere near where I grew up. And anytime we happened to pass by one in our travels, it just never really even seemed like an option. There actually isn't even one in the city where I currently live, so I had to go on a bit of a drive to get there. But I am a man of the people, and I have had literally ones of people request that I go to Taco Bell, and so to Taco Bell I shall go. I'm even going to take my first bites of Taco Bell on camera with you, my lovely audience. So thank you for joining me on my personal Taco Bell journey. Before our journey begins, we'll go over the rules again really quick. Rule 1, no meals, single items only. Rule 2, no substitutions, menu items exactly as offered. Rule 3, no region-specific or limited time offers. Rule 4, no coupons or deals. Once again with the caveat that prices at fast food restaurants are typically regional, so your prices may vary from mine. I'm not going to go over the details of the spreadsheet once again. If you are curious, you can look here where I give a much better explanation. Here. I don't know. Somewhere up there where I give a much better explanation of all the items on the charts. So let's start with cutting. And the first thing we notice right off the top is the number one spot is held by a side dish. A bowl of just beans and cheese somehow manages to be the most cutting friendly item on the menu. And honestly, that does not give me high hopes for how the rest of this is going to turn out. In second, we have the expected chicken dish in the top 5 with the chicken quesadilla. The next spot is actually a 5-way tie, which hilariously includes both the Doritos Locos Taco and the Veggie Bowl. We live in a universe where both of those items have the same cutting score. Now, seeing that there's a 5-way tie, that might tempt you to think, oh, that's great. I have way more options at Taco Bell than I do anywhere else for cutting. Let's keep in mind that the highest score on this list is a paltry 25. But let's see if factoring in cost will change anything. Our number one cutting with cost item is the Pintos and cheese. Come on. Just open. Just, what the fuck? Okay. Boy, doesn't that look great? For the first time ever, a side dish takes the number one spot on our chart. Despite a low protein total, the very low cost actually gives it a pretty good protein to calorie ratio. Beans are a pretty good source of protein, and the cheese also brings some protein to the party. So this little guy actually manages to outcompete any of the meat-based dishes. The number 2 spot on the chart is also a side dish in the cheesy roll-up, which is basically just a tortilla with some cheese on it. But the remaining spots are much more what you would expect, with the soft taco tied with chicken quesadilla and the soft taco supreme bringing up the rear. As I mentioned off the top, I've never eaten at Taco Bell. I don't know if you would consider this a good place to start, but here goes. It's exactly what you'd expect. It's beans with cheese. Also, that whatever this sauce is, I don't know, it's unremarkable. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just sort of filler, I guess. I'm gonna eat it all though. Okay, it's time for bulking. Now, this is where I assumed Taco Bell would really shine, and I was not disappointed. With a bulking score that rivals our control foods, we see that the steak grilled cheesy burrito comes out head and shoulders above the competition. The chicken quesadilla continues its run of high scores, and the Crunchwrap Supreme comes in at the number 3 spot. We can see with our number 4 and 5 scores, the cheesy gordita crunch and the 5-layer burrito, respectively, that all of the top 5 scores are in the 40s and higher, which is much better than any of the cutting options. How those scores stack up when we factor in cost? Let's find out. The new number 1 pick is the 5-layer burrito. I was hoping the steak grilled cheesy burrito would hold on to the number 1 spot because I kind of wanted to try it, but no such luck today. Sadly, it actually dropped out of the top 5 entirely when the cost was calculated. But this thing still looks pretty good. The rest of our top 5 actually surprised me as there is only one other meat option. All the way down at number 5, we have the beef burrito. The 2, 3, and 4 spots all contain no meat, which I think is pretty weird for a bulking list, but they do all contain beans or cheese or both, which are respectable protein sources in their own right. Factor in the low price points of all these items. They're, I think, all under $5. And you might think Taco Bell looks to be a decent bulking on a budget contender. But once again, we can see that all of these scores just barely reach into the green on our chart, forcing me to remind you once again that these items are not necessarily good for bulking. They are just the best options from Taco Bell. Speaking of options available from Taco Bell, let's give this a try. It is mostly tortilla. I don't know what the 5 layers are. We got, looks like beef, refried beans, some kind of cheese. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. Surely this isn't what all the fuss is about, right? Like people who like Taco Bell probably like something more exciting than this, right? If you are a Taco Bell lover, feel free to let me know in the comments what I actually should get from Taco Bell. It's probably something better than this. I'd have to look up what layer 5 is, but it is not apparent from simply biting into it. Salt. The 5th layer might be salt. Now on to our surprises. One thing that actually surprised me was that fries are not dead last in every category, especially since Taco Bell's only option are nacho fries, which come with some shit on them already. We can see the worst overall cutting score is the hash brown, which is basically just one big fry anyway. The bulking categories do not treat potatoes much better, but there are actually a host of worse options than the fries. However, the entire menu is still mostly red, so take that into consideration when choosing your next fast food meal. Now, the person who recommended that I do Taco Bell next suggested that Taco Bell might actually have better breakfast options than the other restaurants that I've tried so far. This gave me a small glimmer of hope. Maybe somewhere out there is a fast food breakfast that isn't garbage. But then tragedy struck, and I discovered Taco Bell breakfast is only in the United States. It is not available in Canada, where I live. Now, I had actually calculated my charts using the breakfast options before I realized they weren't available here, and very surprisingly, both the cutting score with cost and the bulking score with cost were topped by breakfast options. The Grande Steak Breakfast Burrito and the Grande Bacon Breakfast Burrito, respectively. But according to my rules, no region-specific menu items to make this, again, as universal as possible, so I had to remove those from the list. But good news for my American friends, if you love Taco Bell and you love Taco Bell breakfast, those are actually pretty decent options. For those of us outside of the United States, however, breakfast continues to be a terrible option. All right, now it's time for everyone's favorite segment. I fucked up. What did I fuck up in the last video? Let's go over it together. Ooh. When I was explaining the control foods, I referred to the quarter pounder with cheese instead of the double quarter pounder with cheese. I also said it was the best overall for cutting and bulking, and it's not, it's just near the top, so I fucked up. I said grams of calories when talking about numbers 4 and 5 on the cutting list. Fuck that up. I said a score drops instead of jumps when talking about the triple Whopper comparison to the control foods. Fuck that up. And I said the spreadsheet contained cost per 100 calories when pointing at protein per 100 calories. So I fucked that up. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the previous leaderboard. Ba-ba. All right, let's see if there are any changes after our Taco Bell trip. No, the top 4 spots are all still held by Burger King. And that about wraps it up. Thank you for joining me on my personal Taco Bell journey. Click on this video here if you want to know more about the chart and the rules. Check out this video here if you want to see how Burger King took all of the top spots. Leave a comment down below letting me know what restaurant you'd like to see me do next. And don't get the fries. Okay, bye.